And you came around to something that I said back in the first segment of the show, which is I'm becoming increasingly convinced that Shedeur Sanders isn't getting drafted at all. I'm becoming increasingly convinced because now I've got teams that are jumping up in trade spots, needing quarterbacks and taking everybody else at this point. So I think at this point, the thought for me anyway is it's no longer about Shedeur Sanders' ability to play quarterback. It's no longer about Shedeur Sanders' talent or athleticism. It is now about all of the baggage that comes along with Shedeur Sanders and the fact that the Rams just traded up and passed on Shedeur. That's a team that needs a quarterback. The fact that the Steelers have passed up on him multiple times so far, and that was considered the most likely landing spot. The fact that your Raiders had back-to-back picks at the end of round 3 and passed on them, and then passed on them with another pick in the 4th round. There is something more to this at this point.
Yes, there is. But hey, pick 21 on the day is the Steelers. Pick 24 is the Browns. That would be 123 and 126. Wouldn't shock me, but I'm hearing what you're saying, man. As this continues to go forward, it is becoming more and more glaring that there's a real chance he is not drafted at all today. And if that's the case, if he's not drafted today, can you think of anybody else that has shot themselves in the foot harder than Shedeur Sanders? I mean, I'm just trying to think of, it's all of the things. I just think of everything all encompassed. You had early in the year him throwing his teammates under the bus, a point where he had to go in his locker room to grab his watch to come back out in the field to celebrate with his team one time. Just the endless antics, the antics that you mentioned, that whether it's true or not, we don't know. But according to Rick Neuheisel telling the story that he took a FaceTime during an NFL meeting, skipping workouts, skipping pro days. I mean, it's just one thing after the other, not to mention the Dion of it all, not to mention the other glaring reports that it was the quote unquote worst interview ever given. I'm trying to think of anybody else that's come into this situation, because we watched something similar happen to Johnny Manziel, but this is otherworldly. Johnny just dropped down to the 2nd round. We're in round 4, and I don't think he's getting drafted in round 4 now. I did not think that at the start of the show.
Yeah, I mean, again, I said it back in segment 1, and it wasn't just you. I caught a couple of folks on Twitter at the Rob Brown Show. If you want to follow me across the social media, that kind of lashed out at me as well on that one. But again, the more I watch it, and the more I'm watching the Rams trade up into the 4th round and take a linebacker off the board, right? Like this is a ridiculous spot at this point. And again, to me, it simply says, like you pointed out earlier, I'm watching Stephen A. Smith out here tweeting about how this is ridiculous. He said a few minutes ago, this is another Kaepernick situation. And I will say that, I'll get myself in trouble. Why not? I consider myself woke. I consider myself progressive. I consider myself forward thinking, if you want to label that a bad thing. I don't think it has anything to do with Shedeur being black. I don't think it has anything to do with race. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact, with any other fact then. Shedeur has made himself, whether it is true or not, the narrative is above entitlement at this point. And the minute that something goes wrong with your starting quarterback, you're going to have the Dion Brigade following down, telling you how to run your football program. And I just don't think GMs want to deal with that.
I apologize. Kenny thinks he's taking some sort of victory lap. I meant Brady Quinn. You're right. Johnny Manziel fell into the 22nd pick overall. But sure, congratulate yourself on how funny you think you are, because I was watching round 1 of NBA playoffs, which, again, is more important.
I mean, more entertaining is,
more
I think, where I would go with that.
Playoffs or a bunch of kids drafted that majority of them you're never going to hear again? Okay.
I wouldn't go that far. Like something like
the draft
65.
is a fashion show. That's it. This could be.
I haven't seen a player on TV in 30 minutes.
That's because no one's watching the 4th round of the draft but you. I'm talking about night 1, the only one anyone watches, Rob Brown.
Okay, I do agree with that. It was a fashion show, and
thank you.
I do appreciate Shedeur showing up with a chain with a pendant on it the size of the front door of my house. That was the vibe you wanted to go with to not get drafted. Okay, that was it. That was the point. All right.
No, what are you? Stop making fun of the kid in his legendary room, okay? The room was legendary. Was the night legendary? Yes, but not for the reasons he thought.
Yeah,